Social media has a strong yet influential impact on the world and populations of different countries. It allows us to be in touch with what's happening all over the world at the touch of our fingertips. Social media has certainly evolved. It once was strictly used for email communication. It later progressed into a platform to connect with long-lost friends. Today, social media has developed into our primary source for anything informational, that being news, marketing, and business. There are approximately 7.6 billion people in the world. Out of that 7.6 billion people, about 5.1 billion people use a mobile phone in some aspect. As of 2019, the number of internet users has risen to 4.3 billion. That's 57% of the total population. The total number of active social media users is 3.4 billion people, which is 45% of the population. As for the number of mobile social media users, that is 3.2 billion, which is 42% of the population. Over half of the world's population is using the internet in one way or another. Let's hear from some different people their take on social media and if they think social media impacts the world in a beneficial aspect. Our first interview is with Lauren. She's a college student who is working towards her bachelor's degree. On average, how much time would you say you spend on social media?
Normally probably a couple hours. In quarantine, more time.
Where do you get your news from?
Usually Twitter and TV.
And would you say social media has a positive impact on your life?
Yes.
Our next interview is with Denise, who is a senior buyer for Whistle Workwear. How often do you use social media for your job?
Very rarely for my job.
Do you find social media enjoyable?
Sometimes.
Do you think social media benefits the entire world as a whole?
I think there are good aspects to social media, but I think there are a lot of bad aspects too.
Do you want to elaborate on those bad aspects?
Well, I think there's a lot of stuff out on social media and just the web in general that is not true. And so I think people have a harder time differentiating, is it real news or fake news, when it comes across on Twitter or Facebook. But I think things are a little more reliable when you get them from a news station, because a real news station, like CBS, can't just say a bunch of random crap that's not true because they'll be sued. But you can put whatever you want on Twitter and nobody really does anything about it, whether it's right or wrong or true or not true.
In terms of news, do you get your news off of social media or a news channel?
Definitely not off social media, because I don't believe half that crap.
The next interview is with John, who recently graduated with his bachelor's in marketing. Do you consider social media to be a vital part of your everyday life?
Yes.
All right. How often would you say you use social media?
Like majority of the day.
Do you think social media benefits the entire world as a whole?
I think it's good at keeping people informed.
Our last interview is with Lori, who works for Seattle University as a legal administrative assistant. Okay. How often do you use social media for your job?
I am constantly checking my email all day long. I am using the internet via Google and other things for work-related items. I really cannot do my job without being on email, because all my professors email me their work assignments, especially at the current time when we are all working remotely. from where at my job. But even if we weren't working remotely, most jobs come in via email.
Okay, so you're constantly using internet for everything you do.
Yes.
Okay. In reference to just social media, would you say that you find that enjoyable, like Facebook or YouTube or any of those types of media?
I do. I routinely listen to and watch podcasts because I can multitask and do a number of things at the same time. So I also, my Facebook is generally open and I will be checking it just like I check my email. My phone is connected to my work email, so it always makes sound. So I know when anyone has emailed me, and that's very helpful. But generally at work, I don't, it doesn't matter because it's always open and I can see it in the system tray that I've received an email.
Okay.
And social media.
Would you say that you think that social media benefits the entire world as a whole in some way or another?
Well, I'm not sure. One of the problems with social media, I would say, is that it may take the place of personal interactions with people. And on the other hand, sometimes with social media, you're able to express things that you might not even say to somebody if you were standing or sitting face to face with them. But because you don't actually see them, you can actually express maybe what you really feel, and maybe some of those things shouldn't be shared. But yeah, I think it helps the whole world. But I happen to have one of my children who is off of social media right now, and that child is very happy being off of it because they're influenced by it in a way that can be somewhat detrimental. Whereas I'm an extroverted type A personality, and so I don't care what people think if they don't agree with me. I mean, that's their opinion. They're entitled to it. But some people are bothered. They want to have a like by everything they post. I'm not like that. I feel that I have a right to say my opinion. You have a right to say yours. And we don't have to agree, but we should be agreeable. We should be respectful of each other. That doesn't mean agreement. But now we live in a social climate in which most people can't handle free speech that disagrees with them. So I'm not sure it's helping everybody, but I like it.
Okay. What about in terms of news and whatnot? Would you say you get the majority of your news from social media?
From all sorts of, I have a whole bunch of outlook, different things I listen to. And yes, they're all on social media. I mean, I don't pick up a newspaper and read it.
So,
if I want to read, a newspaper, I can actually get that online.
So in terms of getting your news from social media, would you say it benefits you in that aspect?
Definitely. I mean, the problem is we have in the United States, the media is pretty much owned. And so you have to be very careful to get the whole truth because you're getting so much fake news all the time. I'm not sure it's actually helpful in some ways. And recently we've had people testifying before Congress to explain that search engines like Google have actually been able to manipulate voters and have a tremendous impact on all sorts of things that the normal person isn't aware of. So I don't know if that's a benefit because it could be used, in the wrong way. So it's kind of, there's pros and cons. You just have to be very careful. You really do. You have to listen to a number of different sources because, and even then, you may be getting the wrong truth. So you have to do your own homework.
All right.
Social media has had such a significant impact on the world. Here are a few social media posts that have made a huge impression. This first tweet was posted in 2009 and is what some say started the Twitter revolution. So many people now turn to Twitter as a source of news. This next tweet was considered one of the most influential social media campaigns of 2016. NASA's A Year in Space campaign was able to document and share so many amazing pictures through social media. The ALS Ice Bucket Challenge was a tremendous tribute to the impact social media has on an important cause. The ALS Association has raised more than $115 million for research towards Lou Gehrig's disease. After the Boston Marathon bombings, many members of the community were offering complete strangers food, shower, and a warm bed when the roads and hotels were closed, simply through a Google document. Social media's impact on the world is undeniable, but do we consider it to be beneficial? After all my interviews and research, I found that different age groups view social media differently. Younger age groups tend to agree that social media has an influential and positive influence on the world. Older age groups tend to be more skeptical. They think overall social media has a positive impact, but there are aspects of social media that can be altered and skewed. Social media has a huge impact on the world and our everyday lives. Overall, social media impacts the world in a tremendous way. It allows us to stay connected at the touch of our fingertips.